In this section, we will discuss the performance matrix called i10-Index. The performance matrix called i10-Index. The basic definition of i10-Index is the number of publications with at least 10 citations. The number of publications with at least 10 citations. For an example, let's say I have published 10 papers, or maybe let's say I have published 20 papers. Out of 20, I can say there are 10 papers which have at least 10 or more number of citation counts. At least 10 or more number of citation counts. Okay, so that means I have 10 papers, or let's say here I got 12 papers which have at least 10 or more citation counts. The purpose is simple, to measure the productivity and the citation impact of a particular researcher. With this, we can say that the researcher is producing good research as his outcomes or his research papers are cited. Are cited more than 10 times of a particular paper. For such as, let's say, if I take this example, if a researcher has 12 papers and if I have more than 10 citations for those 12 papers, then i10-Index is 12, as shown in the figure here. If I want to count, or if I want to understand how it is counted, what I can do is to calculate i10-Index for a researcher. I can list out all the published papers. So let's say P1 is my first paper and number of citations are, let's say here, around 26. P2 is the second paper and the number of citations are 20. P3 is the third paper and the number of citations are around, let's say, 15, and so on. P10 is last paper which has number of citations around, let's say, 2 or 3. Now, after doing that, I can mark a line at 10. This says that the threshold is the 10 citations. And then I can count how many papers have more than 10 citations. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are total 4 papers which show more than 10 citations. There are total 4 papers which show more than 10 citations. So my i10-Index is 4. Right? So that's how we can compute. So here you can see, if I take any Google Scholar profile, here you can see there are 12 papers which got more than 10 citations. Google Scholar computes it automatically. The advantage of i10-Index is it is simple to understand and easily calculated. We can easily calculate it. That's why it is very famous and used by many organizations to measure the impact of our researchers. It is useful for early career researchers as it provides the straightforward measurement of the impact of their research work. It encourages the publication quality, right? That at least we can look for how many i10 papers are there. So it says that the number of papers are cited and more than 10 times they hold the higher quality among the other papers, and overall number of i10 papers says that the researcher's capability of influencing the field. However, there are few limitations also. Such as, let's say, it has limited scope. It does not account for highly cited papers beyond the 10 citation thresholds. Let's say there are 500 citations or 1000 citations or 2000 citations for one paper. It doesn't account for any of that. It includes only all the papers above 10 and doesn't measure the impact beyond 10 citations. That is the disadvantage of this. Second disadvantage or limitation is field variability. It may not be as relevant across the disciplines with different citation behaviors. Sometimes different fields will have different citation behaviors and it may not be suitable for them also. Sometimes the focus would be more on quantity. Focus on quantity, right, rather than the quality. Often researchers will self-cite it and increase the number of i10 papers by increasing their citations by the self-citing, or recommending the other colleagues or friends to self-cite and increase that count. That's why it is more focused towards the quantity rather than the quality. So that was the disadvantage.